We're approaching the end of the season here in year 1 of the Everton Takeover rebuild, which means that new manager Graham Potter has had plenty of time to analyse and evaluate his squad. Though he spent a couple of months on the sideline injured, Jarrad Branthwaite has been an influential player as part of a back three alongside James Tarkowski and Arnel Ahmedhodzic. Branthwaite is about to enter the final year of his contract, and Graham Potter is keen to get him locked down to a long-term deal. It's a 3-year extension for Branthwaite that sees him maintain his important squad role and have a modest pay rise up to $25,000. Lewis Dobbin has played a rotational role off the bench but has showed flashes of brilliance at times. He's also entering the final year of his deal and he'll be looking to make more of an impact for the first team going forward. So Lewis Dobbin gets a 2-year extension and a moderate pay rise of his own. The likes of Ben Godfrey and Abdoulaye Doucouré are going to have to continue to prove that they deserve a place in Potter's squad going forward though. Doucouré himself has been our third centre midfielder this year beyond Amadou Onana and James Garner, and he has reached the age of 31, whilst Ben Godfrey has been a fixture of the back five, rotating in with the likes of Jarrad Branthwaite and Arnel Ahmedhodzic, and he's a fine role player for the moment, but Graham Potter wants to see a little bit more from him if he's going to commit to Ben Godfrey long term. These last couple of months of the season are also going to be crucial for the likes of Justin Deal and Noah Mbamba, each of whom could become permanent Everton players if Graham Potter decides to activate their buy options. So both Mbamba and Deal will be looking to get onto the field as much as possible as the season draws to a close. Mbamba and Deal aren't the only youngsters looking to make their name in the Everton squad though. Victor Castro, our only youth academy prospect this season, is going to be called up for the remainder of the season. The youngster might struggle to get on the field ahead of Justin Deal or Youssef Chimiti, but with little left to play for this season beyond player development and evaluation, there is a chance that he will see some time. Castro won't feature against our first opponents of the episode, Bournemouth. He also won't feature in our featured game of the episode against Newcastle United, but he could well feature in our home fixture against Ipswich Town at Goodison Park. The side that will face Bournemouth looks like this. Jordan Pickford captains the side in goal. Maxim de Kuyper continues to attempt to regain match fitness after returning from injury. Abdoulaye Doucouré comes into the midfield alongside Onana, and Dwight McNeil and Reece Nelson each support Beto up front. It's a new look Bournemouth side with a number of new additions, and it's one that sees them sitting just one place below us, level on points in the Premier League on 34, but they do seem to be struggling for form, having lost their last 2 matches. And despite both teams playing some really nice football, the score does end 0-0, so the points are shared. Very few opportunities in the game, but I think we did well to come away with the draw. Bournemouth really turned it on in the second half, but we defended superbly. Very few chances means very few highlights to show, but Beto came closest to scoring for us. First with this shot from the edge of the box that ended up flashing across the Bournemouth goal and ended up going wide. And then later in the game when he got his head to Reece Nelson's free kick but ended up heading over. So point shared, probably a fair result in the end, and a performance that we can be proud of. And it does set us up in good stead for our featured game of the episode versus Newcastle. Newcastle having a very good season. They find themselves up in 6th place, 4 points behind Liverpool. So they'll be eager to get the win at home. They are, however, on a tough run of form, having won just 1 of their last 5 games. It's a very strong 11 though, with a couple of new additions, Gabriel and Levi Colwill in the back line being 2 standouts, Ivan Toney leading the line up front, Alexander Isak finding a place on the bench. As for Graham Potter's 11, James Tarkowski comes into an otherwise unchanged back 5, James Garner returns to the midfield alongside Onana, and Potter continues with the front 3. I think it'll be another day where we sit in our defensive game plan, a flat back 5 as well as a flat midfield 4, and just try and defend against Newcastle United's high press. So without further ado, let's head over to St James's Park and see if we can throw a spanner in the works of Newcastle's European dream. So we are up in the commentary booth at St James's Park for this one. Newcastle, a team I don't believe we've faced in a featured game so far this season. St James's Park, certainly a venue that we haven't travelled to in a featured game. So breaking new ground here today. It's a familiar 11 for Graham Potter though, as we face Newcastle United, a less than familiar 11 for Newcastle themselves, adding Gabriel from Arsenal to their back line, as well as Levi Colwill from Chelsea. And Newcastle immediately into our box, and we're forced to put the ball out for a corner kick. Eddie Howe having a lot of success as Newcastle manager, as Gabriel almost gets his head to the ball, and Jared Branthwaite just going to have to hook clear, and he doesn't. And the ball does end up in the back of the net, but I think the referee's given an offside or a foul. Jared Branthwaite dithering on the ball rather than just hooking it clear. Ivan Toney it was who ended up putting the ball in the back of the net. And I think Jordan Pickford's going to play on with the ball still in the net. And it is cleared by a ball boy before Jordan Pickford restarts. So Newcastle adding to their back line. Ivan Toney up front as well. Two relatively similar players, I would say, in Toney and Isaac. Isaac maybe a little more technical. Ivan Toney a little more brute force, although he's technical enough himself. Ivan Toney, don't want to downplay his skill and the technical aspects of his game. But I would say Toney more of a finesse player. Isaac more of a finesse player. Toney a bit more of that more traditional, powerful spearhead up front. Anthony Gordon striking wide. Jordan Pickford watching it. Comfortable that it was travelling wide. So a real good opportunity to assess some players at the end of this season here. Not too much to play for beyond that in the league. We're safe. There's, I think statistically, mathematically, there's still a chance that we could be relegated. But it's not going to happen. We are all but safe. Good run from Arma Dodzic, finding himself in a position to cross. And it's a dangerous one. McNeil brings it down and strikes towards goal, and it's a good effort. Blocked by Newcastle, but there's something we've said we've wanted our centre-backs to do this season, is to step up into midfield. I didn't anticipate Arma Dodzic stepping up quite that far, but he made it work. This is more what I had in mind. Jared Branthwaite carrying the ball just into the midfield. And we work it wide to Nathan Patterson. Newcastle, I think, a team that are going to sit in and defend very well. Ball from Arma Dodzic that time. They're very organised, Newcastle, under Eddie Howe. And although we've started decently well in these first 10-15 minutes or so, I think we already will go into our defensive game plan. Arma Dodzic again giving the ball away. He's getting a little carried away with himself with the ball at his feet. James Garner carries it forward into Newcastle territory. Colwill for company now. Reece Nelson in the box. Beto for some reason nowhere close. On the edge of the box he collects the ball though. Relinquishes to James Garner once more. He's just going to put it in search of Reece Nelson, but it's headed clear by a Newcastle defender. I think Jamal Lascelles. Nathan Patterson intercepts, and he's got a chance to drive at Newcastle now. Dwight McNeil making a good run on the far side. Strikes first time on the volley. And it was a decent opportunity. It's a difficult one to take for Dwight McNeil. Just letting it drop onto his left foot. And he does get the technique slightly wrong there. And it ends up going harmlessly wide. Decent opportunity though. A half chance for Everton early here. Oh, and that's really poor. Our centre-backs have started this game terribly with the ball at their feet. This is something we certainly need to look at in the summer. is bringing in another ball-playing defender. Newcastle into the box and finish. Maxim de Kuyper beaten by Miguel Almiron. Not strong enough, Maxim de Kuyper. That's a really poor way to concede. And Newcastle go 1-0 up. It's the little man, Miguel Almiron. There was nothing little about him there, though. More than strong enough to hold off the challenge of Maxim de Kuyper. Skips past him initially. Into the box. Jared Branthwaite worried about the cutback to Ivan Toney. And that allows Miguel Almiron to tuck it in to the far corner past Jordan Pickford. Not a lot he could do from that range. And about 20 minutes into the game, we're 1-0 down. Not a great start. Not a great start defensively. Anyway, we defended so well against Bournemouth. There were almost no highlights to show from that game. I think there was one Bournemouth opportunity I could have shown, but it was just a routine save from Jordan Pickford at his near post. Barely even worth showing. Beyond that, there were no Bournemouth highlights. And I believe I showed you both of our highlights. It was a very defensive game. Some really nice... It was a very interesting game to play, actually. Both teams played some really nice football, but it was all midfield. It was all build-up. It was all possession. Both teams very organised defensively and did a really good job of shutting down each other. Maxim de Kuyper at the back post. Dwight McNeil again with a half chance. Blocked this time by Newcastle. And Newcastle could be away here. Miguel Almiron again on the right-hand side. Bit of pace about him, as well as that strength that he displayed a moment ago. But no composure there, though, as he gives the ball straight to Jared Branthwaite. An equal lack of composure for Branthwaite himself as he puts the ball straight out of play. It's been a sloppy start to the game for Everton. Good challenge to Kuyper. He takes out McNeil as well as Livramento. But it's a good, strong, fair challenge. Not sure what that was. But we'll take the throw in. Disappointing to see such a sloppy start to the game after such an organised and efficient game against Bournemouth. That's a nice ball from Reece Nelson round the corner for Beto to chase, though. Gabriel beats him to it. So, a handful of players playing for their place in the side, I would say, over the final few months of the season. As I was saying just a moment ago, we need to find another ball-playing defender. James Tarkowski is a player that we will be looking to dial back his first team minutes next season. He is under contract for 1 more year. As for some reason that's a free kick to Newcastle, but okay. Ivan Toney wins it. Jordan Pickford collects. Tarkowski under contract for at least 1 more year. I don't remember seeing him on the list of players with a year and change remaining, though. May well have been there. But regardless, he's into his 30s. We are, of course, looking to the future here in this rebuild. So we will be needing to add another centre-back in the summer. And I would like that centre-back to be good with the ball at their feet. We ask a lot of our centre-backs in this system as we work it into Maxim de Kuyper. There's Beto, strikes, good save, Nick Pope. Best opportunity of the game so far for Everton. Beto with a clear sight on goal. The angle was always in favour of the goalkeeper, though, and he did manage to parry away. Branthwaite is not as good with the ball at his feet as his ratings would suggest. He's actually got decent ratings in that regard, but they don't seem to show up quite so much in game. Livramento's got some pace about him, so Dwight McNeil's going to have his work cut out if he's going to beat him. He has actually beaten Livramento for pace. Livramento tired. Reece Nelson puts it wide. Has to get that on target, Reece Nelson. If he does, it's probably a goal. But we are seeing the effects of this Newcastle system already early in this game. Livramento has been up and down the Newcastle right. And he's tiring already, Livramento. Newcastle do like to press high, and they do like to involve their fullbacks in the attack. So that potentially could be an area to exploit going forward. Really nice ball from Amadou Onana out to Patterson. In towards Beto. I think it's blocked by the hand of Anthony Gordon. And we're going to have a chance to put the ball into the box here at the end of the first half, as we try and get a goal to go in at the halftime break level. Reece Nelson's going to put it across the 6-yard box. It's deep towards Maxim de Kuyper. Nick Pope makes a hash of it. Cleared by Newcastle, though. If we could have got an Everton head on that, there would have been an empty net to try and head it into. Oh, and Tarkowski's beaten, and Tony's into the box. Branthwaite comes across to make it difficult, and Jordan Pickford ends up parrying away. Branthwaite did just enough to force the shot towards the near post, where Jordan Pickford was well positioned. And it's a well-placed corner, which Jarrad Branthwaite heads away. Two really good pieces of defending back-to-back there from Branthwaite. First to force Tony into the shot, and then to head the resulting corner clear. James Garner into Dwight McNeil. It's a good ball, and that's a poor touch, Dwight McNeil. We had a quick break on there, and the touch is loose and gives it straight back to Newcastle. Dwight McNeil, another player who certainly is playing for his place in the side. I don't think another winger is a position of priority as Miguel Almiron enters the box, again holding off the challenger Maxim de Kuyper. Almiron once more. Again, de Kuyper can't get the foot in. Miguel Almiron has had de Kuyper for breakfast today. Normally he's a solid enough defender, of course. He's more of an attacking wing-back, de Kuyper. We rely on him putting the ball into the box and linking up with the forward on that left-hand side. But usually he's at least solid defensively. So winger, not a position that I think is top of our priority list. However, we have Reece Nelson. And then beyond that, I don't love the options. The options are fine. Jack Harrison is fine. Dwight McNeil is good, particularly defensively. Like today when we're dropping into a flat midfield 4. He's a good option. And then beyond that, we've got the youngsters like Lewis Dobbin. Justin Deal can play on the wing, of course. I don't have... Beyond Reece Nelson, there aren't really any wingers in the squad at the moment that I'm particularly excited by. Good defending again by Jarrad Branthwaite. And Dwight McNeil in particular is a bit of an odd man out in Graham Potter's system for the reasons that we just described. So... certainly playing for his place. He's got to show that he's valuable and he deserves a place in the team going forward. Beto squares to McNeil. And he's had 3 opportunities in this game alone to do exactly that and prove that he should have a place in this side. But I think we're seeing Dwight McNeil's weaknesses really laid bare in this game. He is more of a defensive midfielder, a traditional left midfielder, rather than a forward, a more modern winger. And he's had 3 opportunities, each of which fell to him inside the Newcastle box, and he's failed to put any of them away. So we will go into the halftime break 1-0 down. And we've actually had the better of Newcastle according to the halftime statistics. A very even game, but we have edged them in terms of possession and shots on goal. So we'll try and press on in the second half and grab at least an equaliser. So back out for the second half here at St James's, and we will step back up into our standard game plan. At least for the first 10-15 minutes or so. Reece Nelson can't beat Levi Colwill. We just about had the edge of Newcastle in that first half according to the statistics. And we are now 1-0 down, so I see very little point in sitting in our defensive game plan for too much longer. Oh, and Jarrad Branthwaite almost finds Onana with a little reverse pass, but can't quite. Good challenge to recover, though, and Tarkowski with the ball at his feet. Can't clear. Jordan Pickford eventually does. Nathan Patterson is now away. Dwight McNeil also away on that left-hand side. Wins the header into Beto. Newcastle hustling and harrying. James Garner with a good run ahead of Nathan Patterson. And they're doing a good job of defending Newcastle, trying to force us into difficult passes rather than... I mean, they're taking away the simple option and forcing us into difficult passes. As we see our final game of the episode to come up against Ipswich Town. Newly promoted Ipswich Town, they find themselves bottom of the Premier League at the moment, and I believe officially doomed to relegation. So they've got even less to play for than us. James Garner again away on this right-hand side. Not too much on ahead of him. Now Everton bodies starting to find the box, but where is Beto? Too often Beto is behind the play. Beto certainly a player who is playing for his place in the team. He's been superb at times this season. He hasn't quite reached the 20 goal mark, which is the benchmark that you set for a striker, really. But I think he's going to be close come the end of the season. He's going to score somewhere in the 16 to 18 range, I would imagine. And I think he's close to that already. I think maybe he's got 15 goals this season, would be my guess. So he's certainly made his case in the season so far. I think he's going to have to continue to make it over the course of the last few weeks here, though. If he is going to guarantee his place. Right now, I would say it's still up in the air. He certainly could stay. But I think he certainly could be replaced, particularly since he doesn't really fit the system that Graham Potter wants to play. He really needs to. James Garner, what a run. Is he going to find him? Gabriel comes across and deals with it. He's been doing that all day, Gabriel. I think if Bato's going to guarantee that he's going to stay, he has to score probably at least another 5 goals, I would say, over the course of these last few weeks. If he's going to take the decision out of Graham Potter's hands and say, I have to stay. You cannot sell me. Get rid. Well done. An hour gone. Newcastle still 1-0 up. We're struggling. We're hammering away, but we're struggling to create anything too clear-cut in terms of an opportunity. Ivan Toney comes off. Alexander Isak to replace him. That's never a handball. You can't give handball for that. You simply can't give handball for that. It's in a dangerous position for Newcastle now as well, and they could easily double their lead here. You cannot give handball for that. Well won, James Tarkowski. Get there, Reece Nelson. He's done really well to hold off the challenge of his former teammate, Gabriel. James Garner's done well just to keep possession there. Maxim De Kuyper. Dwight McNeil with a good run in behind, and De Kuyper is still not match sharp. You can tell he's not match sharp because he's just put that ball into touch. Normally that would be dropped in just in front of Dwight McNeil, just inside the touchline. But instead he's put it out for a throw-in. It was out of the team for quite a while. It's going to be 2. Yeah, it's going to be 2. Beaten one-on-one. Went to sleep there defensively. Anthony Gordon punishes us. Fair enough. Went to sleep there with Armadodjic. Just wasn't tight enough to Anthony Gordon. Didn't respect... Well, I almost respected his pace too much. Gave him too much space, and by the time we got tight, he'd had a step already to get up to speed. And Armadodjic just wasn't catching up then. That's on me. That's on me. I just went to sleep there. And that's what can happen in the Premier League. You go to sleep for not even a second, for a split second, for a fraction of a second, and you'll get punished. And that's exactly what happened. Anthony Gordon's certainly a player that can punish you as well. Bright young talent, Anthony Gordon. Maybe not. Maybe doesn't seem like the most pleasant player on the field at all times, but he's talented. You can't take that away from him. It's going to be a free kick, Newcastle. They're going to make some changes. Graham Potter warming up some substitutes on the sideline as well. It's going to be Livramento off for Botman for Newcastle. And it's going to be a triple change for Graham Potter. Onana and Garner coming off. Idrissa Gueye and Abdoulaye Doucouré coming on in the centre of midfield in their place. And then Beto has struggled today up front. He's been somewhat isolated up front. he's going to be replaced by Youssef Chermiti, another player, another youngster that we're looking to evaluate over the course of the last couple of weeks of the season here. Oh, Takeover pressing high, almost in to steal the ball away. Dwight McNeil filling in at left back in his stead. Idrissa Gueye played his last few games for Everton here as well. He's going to be retiring at the end of the season. A lot of people wanted Seamus Coleman to retire, an Everton man. That didn't end up happening. But I think we will see a return from Seamus Coleman at some point in the series. Probably sooner rather than later. Idrissa Gueye, though, will retire as a toffee. Newcastle just working around on the edge of our box now. Anthony Gordon again faced down by Dodzic, who does a better job this time of defending. And Newcastle just all over us. As soon as we win the ball back, there's 4 players surrounding the man with the ball at his feet. And Newcastle, they've put in a really professional performance in the second half here. Good block by Branthwaite 20 minutes ago, 2-0 down. Is there any point going into our attacking game plan? Probably not a massive amount, to be honest. Isak wins the header. Over the bar. I mean, we may as well. We may as well attack. If we can get a goal in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so, we still have a chance of getting a point from the game. Nice little ball into the feet of Doucouré. Nice little reverse pass into McNeil as well. McNeil into the Newcastle box. And again, he fails to take the opportunity. What did we say before the break? McNeil's just limited going forward. He's good with the ball at his feet. He's excellent putting crosses into the box, delivering set pieces. He's even good defensively. These forward players, though, we rely on them to score goals. Reece Nelson has done it. Jack Harrison, before he was injured, has been able to do it. Dwight McNeil is just, he's not that kind of player. Reece Nelson delivers. Chermiti was in there. Doucouré challenges for the header. Maxime Takeover picks up the ball. Again, Reece Nelson trying to find space to cross. Faced down by Botman. He does find the space, though. Chermiti is in there this time. And Idrissa Gueye wins the ball back high up the field. 3 Newcastle players in the area. Crossed into the box by Idrissa Gueye. Potentially we could have done with the free kick there. I would rather have taken the free kick rather than have the advantage and force Idrissa Gueye to cross. Tarkowski and Branthwaite between them managed to keep it. Anthony Gordon pressing high, though. Anthony Gordon, of course, the ex-Everton man. It's only just dawned on me. You should have made more of a point of that in the build-up to the game. But it completely slipped my mind that Everton is the club that Newcastle bought Anthony Gordon from. So a goal against his former club today, Anthony Gordon. Branthwaite can't quite win it back. Isak into the box. James Tarkowski is there to stop the cross. Botman in an unfamiliar position like Dodzic was earlier on. Oh, and that's really nicely worked by Takeover and Idrissa Gueye to set Dwight McNeil free. Dwight McNeil beats Gabriel, and that's surely got to be a foul, ref. Gabriel just blocking off Dwight McNeil's run. He got nowhere near the ball. He was beaten by McNeil. Just blocked him off, and that allowed the other Newcastle defender to get in and clear. Lofted into the box. McNeil, I thought another opportunity was going to fall to him. Doesn't quite. Cleared just before it dropped onto his outstretched leg. Again, McNeil in the box. That's a penalty! Ref, that's a penalty! After what we've seen penalties given against us for in recent episodes, how is that one not a penalty? Couple more substitutions before the throw-in. Couple of final changes as we try and get back into this game then. Dwight McNeil and Nathan Patterson each coming off. Lewis Dobbin and Justin James. Justin James, I've done it again. Justin to come on to replace them. The game likely beyond reach for us, but we'll give it a go in these last 5-6 minutes or so. And into stoppage time. Corey can't win it back. Instead, Isak finds Gordon. It's a good challenge by Ahmedhodzic. Idrissa Gueye, what's that? Maxim de Kuyper does well to get there. Nice from Maxim de Kuyper, rather. Switch to Ahmedhodzic. There's Decore. Tarkovsky, Branthwaite. Again into Decore. He's going to have a chance to step up onto Newcastle here. Tracked down by Joel Linton, though. Newcastle barely letting us get into their half as we chase at least one goal in this game. Idrissa Gueye. Maxim de Kuyper, will he get there? Sven Botman comes across. Maxim de Kuyper very strong, though, and then ends up sliding the ball out of play rather than putting the cross in. And it does look like this game is going to be beyond us. Nick Pope with the goal kick. Decore challenging for the header. Chimiti pressing high. And almost winning the ball back from Lascelles. And from Joel Linton there. Well worked by Newcastle to come away with the ball, though. And it's Miguel Almiron, the other of the goal scorers, taking on Jared Branthwaite this time. Branthwaite does a decent job of slowing him down. And that's a good save by Pickford. Hasn't had an opportunity to make too many saves today, to be honest. It's not been a great deal he could have done about either of the goals. And I think Reece Nelson's just offside. It's going to be tight if he is, but he is just offside. And that should just about do it, I would imagine. 30 seconds left in the game. Newcastle with a free kick. Won by Tarkovsky, and Lewis Dobbin will get potentially one last chance to run at the Newcastle back line, and the referee says no. Blows his final whistle. A 2-0 win for Newcastle. We didn't do too badly in the game, to be honest. Newcastle, a very good team, right up towards the upper end of the table, vying for a European place. And really the difference in the game was two poor defensive mistakes, two moments where we switched off defensively. And I mean, you can't do that at the highest level, but considering where we are as a club and where Newcastle are as a club, I don't think we looked particularly outmatched today by any means. So a disappointing result to come away without anything from a half-decent performance at St James's Park. But again, positives to take from the game. We are certainly hanging in there when we play these clubs in the top 4, 5, 6 places in the Premier League. We don't look out of place. We don't look outmatched. Which brings us to our third and final game of the episode. A home match against bottom of the table Ipswich Town. Ipswich have really struggled this season, managing only 4 wins and 4 draws from their 31 games. And having conceded 63 goals, they have a massive minus 38 goal difference. So it's going to be a real chance for our youngsters to impress today. A spot in the starting lineup, not only for Noah Mbamba, but for Lewis Dobbin, Justin Deal, and Victor Castro as well, who starts in that false 9 role for us today. Whereas Ipswich will line up in a 4-2-3-1 formation, Broadhead, Chaplin, and Moore leading the way up front, but they have lost all 5 of their last games. And our youngsters really did impress in this one as we ran out comfortable 3-0 winners, having dominated the game from start to finish. We played Victor Castro in the false 9 role today, but he got things moving with a header inside the penalty box after Maxim de Kuyper's cross. The 18-year-old Spanish Youth Academy product scoring on his debut for Everton. We dominated the first half, but it was just a 1-0 lead at half time. Lewis Dobbin doubled the lead shortly after, though. A mazy run into the penalty area, duked out the defender, and then tucked the ball neatly past the helpless Ipswich Town goalkeeper with his right foot. And then Lewis Dobbin threw his own hat in the ring for goal of the season, cutting in from the right-hand side onto his left foot and curling a similar shot away to the same side of the goalkeeper, but with his opposite foot right into the top corner. Youssef Chimiti looked dangerous when he came on as well. An athletic diving header from James Justin's cross really testing the Ipswich Town goalkeeper, but it was a good save in the end. Lewis Dobbins searched long and hard for his hat-trick in the second half. This was about as close as he came. The goalkeeper again parrying away the shot, but it was a more than comfortable victory, and really good to see Victor Castro getting on the score sheet in his first game for the club. This is exactly what the last few weeks of the season are going to be about, giving our young players a chance to prove what they can do, giving the players on the fringes of the squad a chance to prove that they should still be here next season. And with 6 games left to play, Ipswich Town still miraculously do have a chance of staying up, but it would take nothing short of a miracle. That 3-0 loss surely condemning them back down to the Championship next season. We finished the episode roughly where we started it, in 12th position on 38 points, trying to make a push for a top half finish. We'll continue to do that in 3 more games in the next episode. A trip to Stamford Bridge kicks things off as we face Chelsea, and then we have 2 home fixtures as we host both Nottingham Forest and Brentford. So we'll look forward to continuing to see what the youngsters can offer over the last couple of episodes of the season. I hope to see you there. Take it easy.